everybody, Pat Huntoon here with Technique Junkies, and today we're going to be making that pretty little butterfly card you saw at the beginning of the tutorial. And it's very, very simple, and I'm going to show you how we did it. So first of all, we're starting with 3 colors of Shimmering Bliss. I'm going to show you those first because they're in my hand. Tulian Pink, Just Squeezed, and a gold topper to go over the top. And we're using those to color the card and the background. We're actually going to be using it like a watercolor. Then we're going to be using S990 Flying Butterflies, SD 897 Brave Enough to Fly. May you always be brave enough to fly. I love this as a graduation card. I think it's a really nice sentiment to give to somebody who's graduating. And then the Midnight Catherine Pooler ink, which is you can watercolor with, and you can also use it with alcohol Copic markers, and it works great. So we're starting with a piece of paper that is 3 3/4 by 5. Actually, it's a tiny bit less than that. And we're going to stamp the butterflies and the sentiment together on that. So let me stamp that and come right back. So here's your stamped sentiment. And now we're just going to watercolor that. So I'm just going to place that down, and I'm going to spray the 2 colors of spray, the Just Squeezed and the Tulian Pink, on my work surface. And whenever you mix these, they have mica on the bottom that needs to be moved. So you want to roll them. I'm rolling them together just for the sake of expedience here. You want to roll them so you don't form bubbles in there and that you move that mica. Okay, so what I'm going to do is actually create 2 little puddles. And I'll put one here. 1 puddle of color, and I spritzed it 3 times. And the second color of puddle is the Tulian right next to it. I'm sorry, the Just Squeezed right next to it. So I have 2 little colors of puddles of color there. Now I'm just going to take a little paintbrush, and I am going to paint the butterflies in. So what I'm actually doing is I am going to paint quickly. It just takes a minute or 2 to do this. As I'm painting these, I want to just tell you that you can keep within the lines. They are a tiny bit shimmery now, and we're going to add more shimmer in a second. So I'm just going to do them quick. I think I'll speed this up for you. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to set that aside, and I will be mounting it on a coordinating piece of black cardstock. So they'll be mounted together like that. While I'm doing that, I am taking the butterfly background here, and I am using a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, the same size as a regular background, and a regular ink block. I mean, you could do this in your MISTI, but I just prefer the quickness of this. And inking this, and just going around the edges, because this is going to be in the background behind the butterflies. We're going to add some color to this, and you're only going to see the edges, so that big black mark I have right there does not matter 1 stitch, because you're not going to see it. So I'm just going around this. I just want to make a butterfly background, and I'm turning this all different ways so I get an interesting background behind. And we'll do one last final butterfly. And again, you're only going to see the outer edge, so it does not matter if you get color on the inside. You notice I did not wipe this off. It's important that you leave that on there because we're going to be using that in the next step. But I do want to remove the excess ink that I have on my table. So let me do that very quickly and come right back. Okay, so now we're back to this for 1 second. I'm taking the gold copper, and I'm going to mix that up because I want this to have a chance to dry, and I want to make this gold. So I'm just going to go over this slightly, 4 quick little spritzes, and you can see it's got a really pretty gold shimmer to it. So I'm going to move that to the side and let it air dry. It'll be dry by the time we're done with the next step. Now, I could use these while they're pretty wet. They're kind of drying around the edges as they are, but I'm going to add a little bit of the gold into my piles of ink there. Just wet it down a little bit. And now I'm going to be taking this piece that I just made, and I'm going to just kind of dip the edges. So I'm dipping the edges to add color to them, turning this, moving it around, making sure I get all the color on there. Really want to just get those edges colored because that's what's going to show. Okay, once everything is nice and dried, I attached the background, the black background to this. You can add sequins at this point if you so choose. You put your glue down first and then pick up your sequins one at a time and drop them into the glue. It's the fastest and easiest way to put them on there. All right, so I'm just gonna kind of tamp these down a little bit. So you may have been wondering why I actually did the coloring on the background here rather than doing it on my full sheet of cardstock. And there's a couple of reasons. First of all, when you are dipping this cardstock in, you take the risk of some of that color being on the inside here, and it's not always even and perfect. So that's why I have you do that. So the other thing is it's to prevent buckling. So I don't know if the camera is catching all the pretty marbled gold on the background of that. It's so pretty. So in order to prevent buckling, because we're using regular cardstock, when you use your tape, go edge to edge, corner to corner. This is not the time to skimp. I am a skimpy adhesiver. I think people use too much adhesive generally, but not this time. You really need to go corner to corner, and then I put an X in the center, and that is usually enough to keep it nice and straight on my card. If you should see any buckling whatsoever, take your card and put it through your Big Shot with as much pressure as you can without any plates or anything, and that will help straighten it out. All right, so I'm just going to go to the edge on this one, and since these were hand cut pieces, I have a little white showing on this end and at this end, so I'm going to cut those off and come right back because that'll bother me. So if I didn't say it before, I'm going to say it again. Make sure that your background is fully and completely dry before you put it down on your cardstock for 2 reasons. First of all, you want the bottom to be dry so it adheres to the base, and you want the top to be dry so that you can adhere things to it. Make it annoyingly dry. I mean, really dry. It will help you in the long run. And then you can just put your top on here. And there you go. Now this one I had cut a little bit larger, so it is just a tiny bit larger, so you're not seeing as much of the edge as you would with the dimensions I gave you before. This piece, okay, so this piece, it was done with 2 different colors. It was done, obviously, Vivid Volt and Dolphin Cove are the 2 colors I used with that, along with the gold. I particularly like these colors because I think where they meet, makes this really pretty green, but I wanted to put a little blue in the background of this one, so that's why I got overspray on that one, because I'm like you, you do the best you can. Anyways, that is our tutorial today. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing how you can paint with Shimmering Bliss and how they make such pretty backgrounds with these butterflies. Thank you for watching today. I hope you'll join us next week, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch us. Bye now.